Chapter 33. Maya woke in the early, dark blue light of dawn to see that Dharma and Ubuntu were already up and nowhere to be found. Just then she saw a flash of orange light out on a nearby lake, followed by a flash of yellow. Bands of orange and yellow light, the beams of light continued. Soon Ubuntu and Dharma returned, gliding across the water, smiling and out of breath. "Incredible," Ubuntu said. "See? Nothing to it," Dharma said. "Sorry, Maya. Ubuntu may need these abilities today. Let us make our way north. Romania is not a far ride away." "I can't wait for you to meet Adam," said Maya. "My sweet little Adam," Dharma envisioned. "Well, he's not so little, or so sweet," said Maya, "but he's great. Let's go, let's go." They passed through Istanbul precisely as the red sun peaked and rose over the tepid Black Sea in the east. "We're going to want to get some air for this one," said Dharma. She ascended, followed by Ubuntu and Maya. Maya watched below as the glowing red of pink and purple sunrise illuminated the Hagia Sophia and the blue mosque below. They continued up the coast of the Black Sea. Soon, they passed into a forested climate and environment. By now, it was late afternoon. The sky had become increasingly gray, and it began to rain lightly. The pace of the three riders slowed as they entered foothills, and the lush green forest grew and thickened. They came to a pass in the mountains and glided slowly as it ascended to a plateau. Dharma stepped down from her board and walked. Ubuntu and Maya did the same. They passed between gray trees in the dark forested hills that led out onto the plateau. "I haven't been here in a long time," said Dharma. "The cave is near, somewhere in one of these dark cracks of rock." They came to a large outcrop of loose gray rock where darkness crept between cracks in the large stone form. They approached what looked like a shadow, but then Dharma passed into the darkness, disappearing. "Follow me," she said, appearing again. "This is it." They slipped into the darkness of the tavern and stepped on their boards once again. 3 glowing lights, yellow, orange, purple, slowly made their way down into the large tunnel. They came to the zone of pillars and cells of different leveled surfaces, water dripping in the dark. Marcus slid the stone away from Adam's hut. "Splendid day, my dear Adam. Shall we get to it then?" he said. Adam sat up from his bed and pulled his hood over his head. "As you wish," he said. Adam grabbed his stone board from next to the door and passed by Marcus, who slid the door closed behind him. "Only 2 more days of this, thank Hades," Marcus said. "You know, I should get Moloch to do this. I have better things to do." They crossed the stone surface. Dharma, Ubuntu, and Maya made their way deep into the pillars and cells until it opened up into a vast room, where a great dark rift ran between them and the decadent carved stone entrance on the other side. "Keeps out any hikers," said Dharma, mocking. They hovered across the dark trench. Maya started hearing whispers echo softly off the cave walls. She turned her head, searching for the source. In the high pantheon, hooded figures whispered amongst themselves. The man in the white hood dialed his gaze millimeters to the right, sensing. "Moloch, Arthur, go to the gate. Something or someone is stirring, he said. Maya looked up at the sinister gate. Her board began to send her signals through her feet. Something is coming, said Dharma quietly, receiving the same signals. They backed up to the walls on either side of the entrance and stood alert. Dharma stole a look around the corner and saw the two hooded riders coming down the tunnel. The hooded figures stepped off their boards and emerged from the tunnel, scanning the dark catacombs. Must have been a pigeon, one of them said. Dharma jumped the hooded figure closest to her, mowing him down with her board. Ubuntu did the same from the other side. Her foe put up a short fight, but soon they were both unconscious. That's why they call them the dark boards, not the boards of high awareness, Dharma said. Maya rolled her eyes. They proceeded down the dark corridor. They stepped off their boards and slowly crept into the massive room behind a large rock. Where do you think they have him? Maya asked. I don't know. I'll investigate the Pantheon. You two head towards the temples, and I'll meet you down there. This is it. Mother of boards, protect us, Dharma said, closing her eyes and putting her arms around their shoulders. She nodded, and they went their separate ways. Dharma sunk down into the shadows to ascend the cliff behind the Pantheon. Ubuntu and Maya sunk into the shadows to the right and came up beneath the stone slate. A few villagers crossed the surface into the temples. Do you think he's in one of those? Asked Maya to Ubuntu. Dharma rose to the Pantheon. The man in the white hood remained alone, conjuring a vision storm of dark gray clouds interspersed with dark blue, red, dark purple strands and flashes. He paused briefly, then continued. It has been too long, young Dharma, he hissed as he moved the storm with his hands. Dharma rose and stepped onto the black stone marble. You're a little late, said the man. I'm sorry, did I worry you? Said Dharma. Nothing will worry me now, said the man. I have secured the wave I need for the dark boards to ride to a permanent rule. You're reinventing the wheel, Radu, said Dharma, circling him. I'm fixing the wheel, said Radu. Ubuntu and Maya crept onto the stone surface and snuck behind the buildings. Maya saw a violent storm taking place on the far end of the slate. What's going on down there? She asked. I don't know. It doesn't look good, Ubuntu answered. Don't move, a hooded figure shouted, pointing and running toward Ubuntu and Maya. Outsiders! Alert the colony! He shouted over his shoulder. Here we go, Ubuntu said. The man was joined by 4 more hooded figures on boards that began attacking. Ubuntu and Maya took off, flying, fighting. Maya shook one hooded figure, slamming his shoulder into the corner of a doorway embedded in the cliff. Ubuntu swooped in and blindsided another hooded rider, closing in on Maya. At the far end, Marcus was in the middle of Adam's latest brainwashing. What is all the commotion? Marcus said, agitated. Tension continued to rise between Dharma and Radu in the high tower. The dark boards will suit you. You will make a fine lord, Radu said, or lady, I should say. The storm was raging now above his head, billowing, flashing. Radu and Dharma took notice of the fight that had broken out below. Dharma turned her attention back on Radu. I would rather rot, said Dharma. Fine, I was just offering, said Radu, turning, leaning into Dharma. Where is the boy? Asked Dharma strongly. He's one of ours now. Why don't you join him? He shouted, lunging forth at Dharma. Dharma fielded his attack, falling backwards, using his momentum, booting him out the pantheon, down the stone staircase. He regained his upright position, stopping on his board and launching in a return attack. Dharma met him faster, crashing and tangling in the air. They fell down the steps toward the Colosseum. Maya jumped from temple to temple on her board, outriding her attacker. When she saw Ubuntu in combat with another hood, she sent one off-axis rotation of momentum and landed on him, stomping him out. Just dropping by, Maya said, riding away. Ubuntu concentrated. She rode in an S-shaped path toward the final foe approaching her. She leapt over him into a slightly off-axis spin and nose grab, tweaking out the grab by kicking down her back foot, twice sent 2 orange bands of light toward the hood and blasted him off the stone precipice into the village below. I had to test my new kicks, Ubuntu said. All right, Marcus slammed the book shut on the podium. Lesson over. Time for your exam. Grab your board, he said to Adam. They emerged from the stairs onto the stone field, finding Maya and Ubuntu standing in the midst of many defeated dark boarders, lying unconscious or worse on the ground. So glad you decided to come today, Marcus shouted. Marcus crossed the surface with his hooded companion. Ubuntu and Maya stood still. Marcus took off his hood to reveal a pale, clammy gray, almost blue skin with large black shiny eyes set in his skull and thin jagged white hair on his head, and the same for his beard. It is of no matter now, you're a little late, but oh, we can still fight. I do despise your lazy, nature-loving kind, said Marcus, and I imagine you have come for this. Marcus pulled the hood off the figure beside him. Elsewhere, Dharma and Radu rolled into the Colosseum, blasting bands of yellow and black blue light. The boy was full of power to the brim. He just has no idea how to use it. Luckily, I know exactly how to use it, Radu said. He stormed at Dharma with powerful, precise attacks, taking no natural path, but stabbing like a piston. Dharma took damage, but she emitted a dome of white light, bellowing Radu back into the stands. You won't succeed. The universe doesn't function the way you imagine, said Dharma. It is inevitable. Our plans have been accumulating for ages, said Radu. You don't understand, said Dharma. There is only one thing, harmony. You can't invent some artificial system. It is fruitless. You are fruitless, Radu attacked. They sparked massive bands and beams of light, shaking the cave. Below, Adam stood at Marcus's side. He stared straight ahead, determined, with a small smirk on his face. What did you do to my brother? Maya screamed. I, Marcus said, am simply educating him on the appropriate use of his power. He stood behind Adam. Oh, and I sucked half of his soul from his body, Marcus said. Maya attempted to attack, but Ubuntu held her back. We came for the boy. We are leaving with him, Ubuntu said. Did you hear that, Adam? Marcus said. Would you help me demonstrate, please, how they are incorrect? Adam grabbed his board. Adam, Maya looked into his eyes, begging him. He stared straight ahead. Commence, said Marcus. Ubuntu shot her board across at Marcus's gut, returned it and drew it back into the air. We have a score to settle, Ubuntu said. Marcus recovered from doubled over and took to the air after Ubuntu. Adam, Maya said. Adam approached her slowly. She stepped on her board. It's me, Adam, Maya said. Adam slung his board at Maya. As she dodged it, it spun past her through the air. As it returned to Adam's feet, he advanced in attack, chasing Maya through the air. In the Colosseum, Radu and Dharma spun out, spreading far and wide from each other in the arena. They halted their momentum with legs spread wide and shoulders low, kicking up dust as they stopped. There is hope for you, Radu, said Dharma. The layers of disharmony lure you deeper into the illusion, embedded all manners of falsehood. Return to the infinite light, said Dharma. It is not I who is lied to. It is I who am the salvation of existence, the final hope, said Radu. It doesn't work like that, said Dharma, illuminating into multiple beings of energy. Several light forms of Dharma emanated and fiercely sliced attacks on Radu. With lightning speed, they sliced in calculated geometric forms. Below, Ubuntu and Marcus sparred in the air. Ubuntu backflipped away and fired her orange bands at Marcus. But Marcus had his own powers and spun and kicked the orange bands back with red echoes in the air. Adam sped after Maya. Maya fled but was no match for Adam's speed. She had no choice but to spin and land a swift kick to his face, leaving a mark. They careened out of control through the courtyard. Finally, Adam cornered her. Adam, little brother, sweet Adam, please, Maya begged. What did they do to you? Look at me, Adam. We can help you. He hovered on his board and towered over her. He stared down menacingly and cold. Maya looked up in terror and desire for it not to be true, and then she surrendered. I know you wouldn't let anything happen to me, she said. Adam lowered his board onto her cheek and began to press down. For a moment, Maya showed panic, but her resolve returned. She stared into Adam's eyes. Who is Adam? He asked. Suddenly he was busted into the wall and fell unconscious to the ground. Sorry, Adam, time to go, Ubuntu said. She draped his body over her extended board. Come on, Maya, don't worry about it. Dharma descended onto the field and knelt with Maya and Ubuntu. She gave Maya a loving look. Let's get him out of here, Dharma said. The Carpathian Mountains howled in the distance. The moon rose. The night was foggy. The riders took the boy far from the cave, far from harm's reach, out into the wilderness to make camp. Beside the stream, their fire crackled. The four riders took in the crisp night air under the stars. The face of the unconscious boy was peaceful, like a fussy baby finally asleep. Maya watched over him. The wind blew through the trees.